Let's talk today about authenticity and the aspect of being real human being when you're doing a community job. Big thanks to Insomnium for submitting that comment under the what makes a good community manager video. So overall, in terms of being authentic in your work, it really boils down to the aspect of trying to communicate both sides of players and developers in the most coherent way. A good community manager should never look for self-promotion or self-gratifying procedure or a way of me becoming more quote-unquote famous. That is simply because of the reasons that you are, again, representing both sides. Now, of course, you work for a gaming company, so you are ultimately in charge of making profit. But in the end of the day, being authentic with your feelings and with your way of coordinating communication between the two lines is the crucial part. Now, there are different ways of being authentic. A lot of players think only by not trying too hard or trying too hard, or people that don't seem to be genuine. But some people do seem to be genuine, and they still do not really are creating this kind of like community feeling between the players. And very often that comes out of the lack of practice or the lack of experience of a community manager to control its emotions and, as I mentioned in the previous videos, to grow a thick skin. Now, we are going to be talking about certain methods and examples of how to deal with the players that are different personalities. That is going to be a separate video. But again, the rule of being authentic is that you come across as a neutral and non-biased part of the conversation, right? So you want to understand that both developers and players want to make a better game in the end of the day. And that is both objective of the both sides. And very often, you're going to be encountering players and developers that are going to be both very emotional about their work. It is not only players, it is also developers that are very involved on all sorts of levels with the game. And if you're talking to a senior programmer, or if you're talking to the biggest corporation leader or guild leader inside of a game, you may get actually quite a similar response towards how do they feel about the aspect that they care about inside of their game. And so when you're communicating between those two parties, you need to continuously remember where are these people coming from, and then distill all their emotion, remove all of their emotion from the feedback that you're getting, and try to bring it down to a common goal, which is we are all here to create better games and improve the games that we already have released. And only then your authenticity is going to shine, because you are essentially the custodian of that conversation. And that doesn't mean that you should be always injecting yourself in between developers and players, but instead trying to also put those two perspectives together between those two parties. And when you do that successfully, both sides appreciate it extremely much. It's just incredible feeling once you accomplish the agreement and appreciation between those two parties. Now, as I would assume that most of my audience now is mostly players of games, or people that actually want to become community managers, or they have become early community managers. It is pretty rare to have that perspective from a development side of things. So the way you stay true to your mission and to your duty as a community manager is to simply behave as you would behave in real life. So the way you post on forums, or the way you post on Twitter or Facebook, needs to be very natural, needs to be very genuine. Do not try to use PR words. Do not try to use announcement style, beginnings of sentences. One of the biggest mistakes that we've made in the beginning before was that we would begin with every single announcement would sound too official. So having a social media post that says "Dear players" every single time, it's kind of gets dry, right? Sometimes you just need to say what you need to say, and say it the way it is, just flat out. You're not a PR press announcement writing person, right? Like you're not addressing the whole industry. You're addressing your players. You're addressing the audience that you know, and those players are exactly as you are, just another set of players, right? So always when you're communicating to players, try to remember, how would you perceive this announcement or a certain post as a player? But at the same time, try to remember that, the grammar and the correct spelling is very important as well, because you don't want to look like you just came here and you have no idea what is going on. So it is a balance. And then in terms of posting and the frequency of that, it's also crucial to post not for the sake of posting, but actually for the sake of actually knowing what you want to say and why you want to say it. A lot of people like to call certain spam posts as shit posting, but actually there is much more to that. I think that shit posting in a certain degree is actually very helpful to build the personality of a person that you're trying to convey to the players. But more often than not, you want to come back to the players with a result, with a certain conclusion that you want they can draw from. And that is extremely crucial at the beginning, because you're trying to prove yourself as a new community member between all of these millions of players potentially. So the more credibility you build with the players, the more you appreciate you're gonna become between both developers and the players. And then as the time grows on and you build that reputation, you build friendship, just like in real life, you are going to get more opportunities to just simply have more fun with your community and the players and the developers as well. So making jokes on behalf of a certain developer, or making jokes on behalf of a certain player, it's actually a viable strategy to actually have fun. Just simply relax. Like not every human is just a programmable robot that spits out constant announcements and results. You don't want to be that. You want to be a human that people can actually interact with and have a meaningful conversation. So try to be a balance between those things as you grow as a community manager. That doesn't mean that the casual conversation and throwing jokes all the time is going to outweigh your actual job. That just means that you can allow yourself to have some more fun as you grow with your career. But again, always remember that every time you speak, somebody's listening. And if you're speaking and those words don't mean anything and there is no value in them, don't post it. Like it's very simple. And we do live in the age of information where everybody's overloaded with it all the time. So if you keep spitting out information that doesn't mean anything to anybody, then people are going to eventually not really take you seriously. So that is my piece of advice on being genuine and being authentic. So let me know what you guys think, and I will come back with another video. And thank you very much for the comments and for the feedback early on inside of the channel's history. So yeah, thank you so much.